Welcome everyone to the exhale. I am so excited for you all. In this session, I'm going to show you why burnout happens in the body, what's been going on beneath the surface, and how things can start to shift without having to make any big changes in your life. So who am I and why do I do this work? I'm Lucine Setien. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I work in corporate wellbeing and I am also a work health and safety consultant. And I came to this work because I was completely burnt out. I was high functioning on the outside, completely disconnected from my body on the inside for years. And I was diagnosed with ADHD at 37, and suddenly everything made sense. All of the overwhelm, the anxiety, the years of masking. I had this new understanding and this validation about why I'd been feeling this way, and even medication that helped a little. But my body was still stuck in the physical symptoms of anxiety. Learning about ADHD and having that new insight didn't change how I felt in my body. It gave me an understanding why I'd felt this way my whole life, but it didn't change how I felt in my nervous system. So on my first breathwork session, it was the first time I came out and I felt physically different in my body. And that is why I do this work, because I know what it's like when your body won't let you rest, even when you are so exhausted. So let's start here. Burnout isn't weakness, it's biology. It's what happens when you experience chronic stress without recovery, when the stress cycles are left unfinished, and when your nervous system never gets the chance to complete the response that it started. This is not a resilience issue, so it's actually not, it doesn't have anything to do with you not being strong enough or not trying hard enough, which is sometimes what we tell ourselves. It's actually your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do to help you survive. But the problem is that survival mode was never meant to be your baseline. And for many of you, and myself included, and almost everyone really, it has been. It's our new baseline. It's where we're operating from. And your body is exhausted. Burnout isn't just from too much stress. It's from not enough recovery. So do vacations work? You might just be thinking, I just need a break, I need a holiday, I just need to get away for a bit. And a lot of you actually did my burnout and nervous system audit prior to Christmas. Everyone was burnt out. I mean, it was right before Christmas. I had 831 responses, and I'll tell you what, everyone was burnt out. Every one of those people was completely burnt out. So what I would love to hear, if any of you did that nervous system audit and then you went on vacation, I would love to hear from you. How are you feeling now? Did you feel like the vacation did help you? Did it eliminate all of your stress? Is it starting to creep back in now? And the research actually does say, yes, vacations do help, but only temporarily. And the well-being benefits, unfortunately, fade within 1 to 3 weeks. So I'm not sure how many of you can vouch for that, but I certainly can. And the reason why this happens is because baseline stress stays the same. You go away on this vacation, but life load is cumulative. So your daily hassles, your work stresses, your home stresses, they're all cumulative. And you come back from the holiday and within days or weeks, you're right back to where you started. That's just because nothing in your nervous system actually reset during that break. The stressors are still there. Your body's stress response patterns are still there. The unfinished stress cycles, they're all still there in your body. So the holiday gives you a break from the demands, but it doesn't actually rewire your nervous system to respond in a different way. And that's what we need to address. So your nervous system's main job isn't happiness or productivity, it's survival. So every moment you're scanning your environment and your body, and it's asking one question: am I safe right now? And this happens automatically. It happens before logic, before any rational thought. That's why we can react really quickly. But, that's why you can also know that everything is fine. Everything is fine. I'm safe all around. Rationally, your mental, rational thought can know that everything is fine. But you still, in your body, feel on edge. You feel tense. You feel overwhelmed. Your body doesn't respond to the cognitive reassurance. It responds to signals of safety and danger. And we have two main modes. We have survival mode, which is your fight and flight. And this is when we are needing to take some sort of action, like run away from a tiger. And then we have our rest and digest, when the threat is gone. And in a primal environment, our nervous system would go into survival mode and we would run from that tiger, and then we would naturally go back into rest mode when we had found that safety. But in the modern world, the nervous system can't tell the difference between an urgent email, a difficult conversation, a crying child, or a serious physical threat. So to your body, these are all registering as danger, and they're activating our survival mode. And that's what happened to me. I was in survival mode. I was 37 and my nervous system finally hit its limit. I had two small kids. My mum died suddenly. We were in COVID lockdowns. My husband was working for a gardening company. So he was one of the ones that instead of working from home, he was working really, really long days during COVID. And on the outside, nothing really looked dramatic. But on the inside, I was in this constant panic. And my body was just stuck in that fight and flight, stuck in survival mode. I went to bed dreading the next day. I was just so anxious about not being able to cope with just the simple things, just life demands. Simple tasks like the groceries or managing the household or just getting through the day with the kids. It just felt really overwhelming to me. Not because of anything rational, it was just the mode that my body was stuck in at that point. And my heart was always pounding, my body was tense, and I just snapped at the kids and then felt really, really awful about it. And around that same time, I received my ADHD diagnosis, and suddenly so much of my life made sense. I felt really validated, I felt relieved, but the internal panic didn't stop. I had this understanding and this new insight, but my body still felt unsafe, and that's when the shame really crept in. I thought there was something fundamentally wrong with me and that I couldn't cope with these things that everyone else seemed to find so easy. And I had a lot of guilt and shame around the fact that I just wasn't enjoying motherhood the way that I thought I should. And I told myself that made me a bad person and a failure. And it was a really tough time. But what I know now is this, that my body wasn't broken. I was just really overwhelmed and I was stuck in survival mode. And burnout doesn't always look really dramatic. For me, it would be driving in my car and getting to my destination completely on autopilot, just not remembering the journey at all, and just arriving and staring out the window, just not even understanding how I got there, or grabbing my phone to quickly check something and then, hours later realize that I've been doom scrolling for 2 hours and then just feeling so guilty and horrible about it, Sometimes it just looks like functioning normally, but falling apart on the inside. So this is the thing, your nervous system holds all of your stored stress. It holds all of your self-limiting beliefs and patterns, that voice in your head that I'm not good enough. It isn't just a thought, it's actually encoded in your nervous system as a stress response. That's why it keeps coming up. For me, that's one that comes up for me. Your habitual response to stress, your triggers, your reactions, your coping mechanisms, all stored in your body. And your system has learned that this situation equals danger. That's why it's setting off all of those warning signals. And it reacts automatically before you've even consciously registered what's happening. And that's why we get so easily triggered. It's not that you're too sensitive. It's actually because this is your warning signals going off. And there's just no more space. Your nervous system has no capacity left. It's completely full. Like a cup that is completely filled to the brim, you put one more drop in it and it just overflows. So that feeling when you're at capacity, I just can't have one more thing on my to-do list. You can't ask me to do one more thing, I will explode. And then of course, life, what does it do? It just keeps demanding more. And sometimes we have a little bit of flexibility to change those circumstances around us, but a lot of the time we don't. It's just something that we have to learn to manage. And what can we do? We can actually create more space in our nervous system. So how do we create more space? So resilience actually equals nervous system flexibility. A healthy nervous system moves flexibly between states. Stress comes up, you respond, and then your body returns back to calm or back into the window of tolerance. Burnout happens when the body never gets a chance to return. So you're stuck up there in the hyperarousal, that overreactive, unclear thought, emotionally distressed. You get stuck there, and that's where you're operating from. Before the stressors come, you're already there. So over time, survival mode becomes your baseline. And then even the small things feel really overwhelming, not because they're big, but because your system's at capacity. It can't take one more thing, like the cup that is full. And when you're burnt out, your window of tolerance has shrunk. So the red is actually larger and the green is smaller. And your window of tolerance is the zone where you can function without being triggered into fight and flight or into freeze, which is your hypoarousal. That's when you shut down and you get the apathy and the lethargy. When your window of tolerance is narrow, everything feels overwhelming. Small stresses send you into reaction. You can't access your rational brain. You can't problem solve. You just react. But the good news is that you can expand your window of tolerance. And parasympathetic breathwork is one of the fastest ways to widen it. So repeated moments of regulation and safety create a new reference point for your nervous system. And then that becomes your new baseline that you can return to more easily. It becomes your default and your new baseline. So what can we do? We need to create space in your nervous system so your baseline is no longer survival and capacity can return. Not through talking about it, not through analyzing it, not through understanding it better, but through giving your body a supported experience of down regulation. So through that parasympathetic activation, that signals to your body, it's safe now, it's safe to let go now. And through breath work, that completes those unfinished stress cycles that are stored in your body. So what we're talking about here is a body-led change. It's not cognitive, it's not in your mind. It's a body and a breath process. And I can tell you, I can vouch for it, it works. So how does breathwork actually work? It signals safety to the body. Slow, conscious breathing directly activates your vagus nerve, which is the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system. It activates your rest and digest response, and then within minutes of starting breathwork, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure drops, digestion turns back on. It's like your body shifts gears from danger to safety. And in this state, in this parasympathetic state, this rest and digest state, it allows stress to gently unwind. It allows the unresolved stress cycles to complete. All of those fight and flight responses that got stuck, that you never resolved, breathwork gives them a pathway to finish. It strengthens your interoception and your ability to sense what's happening inside your body. Then the more you practice, the more attuned you become to your body's needs. And this is a body-led change. Your nervous system finally gets to relax. When I came out of my first breathwork session, I remember thinking, I was reading all these parenting books and I was really trying to be calm, but it was a lot of effort, not to be triggered or not to lose it. And I remember just thinking, I'm not even trying to be calm. I authentically feel it in my body for the first time without trying. And that's what becomes possible. So what to expect, and this is really important because there are a lot of different types of breath work out there. And before we go any further, I need to be really clear about what this style of breath work is not. I know some of you have seen those really scary breathwork videos online where people are having this huge emotional cathartic release. This is not that kind of breath work. I mean, we're already talking about people who are in burnout and who are highly stressed. We don't need more of that in our lives. So it is not hyperventilating. This is a slow, gentle, conscious breath. We're not forcing anything. It's not cathartic. We're not pushing you to have a big emotional release. We're not forcing anything to surface. If emotion comes up, we just be with it, but we are not chasing catharsis. It's not re-traumatizing. This is a trauma-informed and parasympathetic style of breath work. So we're creating safety in your nervous system, not overwhelm. It's also not strenuous. So you can do this lying down or you can do it seated, but there is zero physical effort. It's actually really relaxing and comfortable to do. This style of breathwork is gentle, it's safe, and it's designed specifically for nervous systems that need softening, not more intensity. So if you've tried breathwork before and it felt too intense, it felt too overwhelming, or it felt too much, this will be a completely different experience. This is for people who are already carrying too much. We're not adding more, we're creating space. So the biggest change that happened for me when I started doing breath work wasn't that my life got easier, the life that I was living. It was that my baseline changed. Where I was operating from was within that window of tolerance. My window of tolerance had increased. So I was remaining within that window of tolerance for a lot longer than I was previously. And when I looked back at my journal from months earlier, I realized that I've even forgotten how much pain I had been around certain things in my life, certain situations, certain relationships, because they were no longer active in my nervous system. They weren't sending me into my fight and flight. And that was when I understood that this wasn't just a breakthrough moment, it was my new way of being, which was amazing. And this wasn't just my story. It's not just my story. I've actually witnessed this change when nervous system changes in so many of my clients, hundreds of them. I've got a couple of case studies that I want to share with you. There was this one woman who came to me and she was completely overwhelmed by her relationship. Every conversation felt loaded. She was constantly triggered. She'd already decided before she turned up that separation was the only way forward because she couldn't see any other way of working things out. And as she started working with her nervous system, something shifted. You know, nothing about her partner didn't start doing breath work. He wasn't really changing at all, but she wasn't living in fight and flight anymore. And sort of what happens when we start doing this nervous system work is, even if situations don't change around us, suddenly more things become possible. So she wasn't living in the fight and flight, and she could stay present during hard conversations, and she wasn't immediately flooded, and she could see things from another perspective where she couldn't before. And so that was stopping her from going straight into defense mode. And that didn't magically fix the relationship, but it made it workable again. And you know, when the overwhelm eases, that's often the first thing that returns. I also had another client come to me who had a serious health scare, and it was out of nowhere. It was, you know, completely valid that this thing had sent her into a spin. You know, after that experience, her nervous system had stayed on high alert, and she was constantly worried that something terrible would happen again. I mean, it came out of nowhere the first time. So, you know, she was just waiting for it to happen again to either herself or her loved ones. And so she was constantly worried about it, and she just couldn't relax. She was just stuck in that fight and flight. Even on holidays, you know, her body was just full of anxiety symptoms, and they just fed her fear. So what we worked on with her wasn't convincing that she was safe. It was actually just helping her nervous system process the stress from that experience that it never got to complete. You know, and as that happened, the anxiety stopped dominating her life. You know, she could enjoy rest again and enjoy moments again, and her body no longer felt like it was bracing for the worst all of the time. She was actually quite apprehensive about trying breath work because of the videos, the intense experiences that she'd seen online. And when I asked her what she thought about it, she said, I'd probably explain it as more of a meditation, and I really enjoyed it. So that was another experience of someone who tried it after being apprehensive. I had another client come in that was feeling mentally stuck, and it wasn't dramatic burnout. It wasn't something intense. It was just that really heavy feeling that everything feels like an effort, and it was hard to get going or get excited or inspired about anything. And he was getting quite cynical about his job. So he kind of felt a bit lost, and sort of like his purpose or his way was no longer clear, you know. And as his nervous system settled, this space returned, and within that space came creativity and inspiration, and he had all these new ideas, and all this energy just started flowing, and he became really excited about life. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. Everything, all this clarity dropped in. It was like his purpose dropped in, and you know, he'd started all these different business ideas on a worksheet, and I just thought it was amazing where he had come from to where he was after doing breath work. And what all these people have in common wasn't that their circumstances around them changed. It was that their nervous system was overloaded, and when that load reduced, they didn't become different people. They actually just got more in touch with who they used to be, and they became more themselves again. So what became possible for me? What became possible when my nervous system became regulated? I felt capable again. I felt more patient in my relationships. I had choice. I could choose how I was going to respond rather than just react straight away. And I had all this willingness to try new things. So, for me, it was such a big deal. I took my kids on a plane by myself. We went on a trip. In the past, that just would have completely overwhelmed me. The logistics, the packing, managing the airport alone, parenting alone, the airport. But this time I felt capable and excited even, I wasn't fearless. I still was worried that things might come up. But the difference was that I felt capable, which meant that I felt like I would be able to cope with whatever comes up. And I didn't have that feeling before, And I noticed the same thing in my relationships. So I could navigate conflict without exploding or completely shutting down. And in my work, I felt brave to try new things. I held a corporate breathwork session at the Sydney Opera House, and I started offering things online, just like I am now. This showing up online was new. It's what I could do with my new expanded capacity and my regulated nervous system. So my life didn't suddenly change. It was just that I had the capacity to meet it. And that's what nervous system regulation gives you. So now we're going to start connecting with your body. This is going to be our first body-led process. So, in breath work, we treat every body sensation as if it's a message from your nervous system. And when you're in survival mode, you get stuck in overthinking, you live in your head, you can feel really disconnected from your body. And that disconnection is protective. If your body has been holding stress and discomfort for years, it just makes sense that you're going to tune out from it. But the path back to regulation requires reconnection. So we're going to do a little body awareness practice right now. And it can be a little bit difficult to do when you start these kinds of practices. So, be kind to yourself. It'll just give us a little taste and a little bit of practice before we do session 2. So let's start with a body sensation practice right now. Just taking a moment, if it feels comfortable for you, gently close your eyes. Or if you'd prefer, just soften your gaze and let your eyes rest on one spot. Just take a moment to notice where you are tight. Notice the surface beneath you. Notice the chair. Notice the floor. The way your body is being held. Now bring your attention to your feet. Notice the contact with the ground. Any pressure, any warmth, any sensation at all. You don't need to label it as good or bad, just notice. Now gently bring your awareness to your legs, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Is there tension here? Heaviness, ease, or maybe not much sensation at all? Whatever you notice is okay. Just let your attention move to your hips now. This area often holds a lot without us even realizing. Just notice what's present here right now. Now bring your awareness to your lower back and your belly. Notice the rise and fall of your breath here. You're not changing your breathing, just notice it. Is your breath fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? Is it held or flowing? There's no right answer, just noticing. Now let your awareness move up into your chest and your rib cage, noticing any tightness, openness, movement, or stillness. Then gently bring your attention to your shoulders. Many of us carry a lot here. Notice if they're lifted, tense, or heavy. You don't need to relax them. Just noticing is enough. Now your arms, your hands, your fingers. Notice temperature, tingling, weight, or nothing at all. Bring your awareness to your neck and throat. Then your jaw. Is it clenched, soft, somewhere in between? And let your attention move to your face now. Your cheeks, your eyes, your forehead. See if you can let your face soften just a little. Not forcing, just allowing. Now take a moment to sense your body as a whole, from head to toe. The full shape of you right here. If you had to describe your body now in one word, what would it be? There's no need to say it out loud, just notice. Now take one slow breath in through the nose and a long, gentle exhale out through the mouth. Again, slow breath in, long exhale out. When you're ready, just gently bring some movement back into your body. Wiggle your fingers or toes if that feels good. And slowly open your eyes, coming back into the room. This is the space that we will begin from, just noticing, listening, letting the body lead. And if you didn't notice much or feel anything, don't worry, it's perfectly normal. It doesn't mean you're doing anything incorrectly. The purpose of this practice wasn't to feel anything in particular. It was just to start tuning inwards and attuning to your body And, even if that means that you notice that you don't feel anything, that awareness is still key. And that is how we do the work. So that was session 1, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Now you understand why your nervous system is key to understanding how breathwork creates the change that you're looking for. And, what's next is session 2, where this all becomes embodied. So make sure you're checking your time zone so that you can join me live for session 2, and we'll walk through the breathwork techniques step by step. I'll give you all the information you need, and I'll guide you through setting a personal intention, which will create the pathway for your breathwork session. And then we'll do our first guided breathwork practice together. It'll be around 20 minutes. I'm so excited. And this is where the change moves from understanding into experience. And you don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel open. You don't need to do anything perfectly. You just need to show up. You need to show up for yourself, and your nervous system will do the rest. So I'm really looking forward to breathing with you. Just if you have any questions or comments, just drop them in the chat in the community space. And also don't forget that I'll be giving away a couple of prizes for the people that turn up to the live. So you will go into the running to win a 2.5-hour one-on-one breathwork session with me. And that is worth $300 if you turn up to the live on Wednesday, on session 2 and session 3. So I hope to see you there. I'm so excited. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I will see you soon.